Hi, I'm Christopher Moss and welcome to Learn Symfony. This is a video tutorial series on learning Symfony 2. Now if you've looked at Symfony 2 already and you've got a little bit freaked out by it, or you're brand new to it, hopefully this video will demystify quite a lot of it. Well, not this video specifically, but the videos that follow. So what I'm going to do, because each of these parts is sort of standalone, is I'm going to follow through each of these sections and then stop the video so you can watch each part as required if you need to watch it again. This makes it easier, but I will stitch them all together and make one long video as well. So in this video we're going to be covering downloading and installing Ubuntu, which we're going to use for our local development box. We're going to be using VMware, but you can use VirtualBox or VMware Player or whichever. We'll cover that in a sec. Then this will help us actually create our Linux user account, so don't worry about that. Then we'll go through and install Apache 2, Mysql, which is our database server. Apache 2 is our web server if you're unsure. FTP, so that we can actually get files onto the Linux box. SSH, which is our command line connectivity to the Linux box, because we won't actually have a mouse and keyboard approach. Well, we'll have a keyboard, sorry, but not a GUI. Then we're going to create our web directory structure, so that we can actually make our sites. We're going to configure our permissions so that we can upload to those sites. And then we're going to install Composer, which is the tool we use for package management when we're using Symfony 2. And then lastly, we're going to make sure that we're fully updated on our Ubuntu box. So if any of this is scary to you, as I say, we'll get it demystified as we go through. I don't want to do too much in these first videos because it can be quite overbearing setting Symfony up. Okay, so first thing is we need a copy of Ubuntu server. To get that, we go to ubuntu.com, download server, and then the version that we actually will be using is 12.04. On here there's 12.04.2 later version. It doesn't matter as long as you're using this. I'm not actually going for that, as it's not long-term support and it's not what I would use for development. And again, you need either a standalone PC to put Ubuntu on, or you can use VMware, which is what I'm going to be using. Now I've got the VMware Workstation tool because it's what I use in a professional capacity, but there is a free version called VMware Player, or there's VirtualBox from Oracle, which do the same thing basically. But what I'm going to do will look more closely like VMware Player. Okay, so we need our VMware open. I'm going to go through and create a new virtual machine. Now these are just the steps that I always use, so if you follow through, I'll explain what I do. It's going to go custom, accept the defaults. It's asking where I want to choose my ISO image from. That's what I would have downloaded from ubuntu.com. It's about 700 meg, so set it going as soon as possible because it takes a while if you've got a crappy connection. Just going to say yes, browse through to it, but yeah. Then we give it our Linux username and password. This will actually configure it for us inside Linux, so we don't have to. And I just call it lamp, highly secure. But it's only a development box and it's only for this tutorial series. I would obviously advise you use a proper password. Ubuntu Symfony 2. And then we don't need any high level specs or anything like that, but give it whatever you want. And then I'm just going to give it 1 gig. Again, it's just a web server running locally. It's not going to do anything crazy. Then I always tick this use bridge networking. This just gives it, like if you're on a network, if your IP address is like 192.168.1.2 or something like that, this will give the virtual machine, like an IP address of 192.168.1.3 or something similar. Whereas if you use this NAT nonsense, you get a weird IP, and it's just easier this way. Next, and then we're going to create a new virtual disk. If you're not sure of any of these settings, just accept the default. Maximum disk size, I'm just going to leave it as 20 gig, but it doesn't actually use 20 gig on your disk, it just uses what it needs, but you can tick that box if you wish to change that. And then next, and it'll just go through. And then what it's going to do now is basically start up the VM, or the virtual machine, and it's going to start the installation for us. Now this actually takes a while to get to the next part, so at this point I'm going to stop this video and you can resume either with the standalone MySQL video or just continue watching this one as we'll go through. Okay, so we're at the login prompt now. That took about 10 minutes from when I last finished the previous video. I'm going to log in using the details we provided in the first section, which is just lamp, when it lets me type in, lamp and lamp. Okay, so we're at our prompt now. So the next step of the tutorial, if I just reload that, we've downloaded and installed, well, we're installing Ubuntu, we've created our user account, so now we need to do Apache 2 and MySQL. Now this is relatively straightforward if you just follow one simple step, and we're going to do this in one command. So it's sudo task cell install lamp -server. Now lamp again. Obviously I'm not doing that from memory. This sort of stuff you only ever do so infrequently that you forget it, so I've actually just written it down, so if you see me taking a while, that's why. Again, this bit takes a while, but there is a prompt that's going to come up and it's going to ask us for our MySQL root password, so we're going to have to create a password here. Again, I'm probably going to give it something simple like database, but obviously if it's in your environment, give it something a bit more secure. Wait for this to come up, just quickly pause. Oh, there we go. Didn't even get a chance to pause. Right, okay, so I'm just going to give it a password of database. And again. Okay, now it's going to go off and do its thing, and then I'll restart the video when it gets back to the command line. Okay, so it's just finished. It's dropped me back to the command line. Now, what that last command did was actually install Apache, MySQL and PHP, as in the full part of the LAMP stack. But it's not left them in a usable condition as of yet. We're going to need our IP address for this next part, and this is the IP address of the machine that you're going to be developing from. So I'm going to go to CMD, ipconfig, and this is 124. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is actually edit the MySQL config file. Sudo vi. If you never use vi, don't worry, this is, well, I'll talk you through it. MySQL, just pressing tab there to autocomplete, and then my.conf. We're just going to scroll down, find a bind address, hit the insert key, and then put in a hash, which on mine is Shift and 3 as I'm on UK keyboard, and then escape and :WQ for write and quit. Okay, so that was the easy bit, and then we're just going to do a MySQL u root, as in user root, and then -p. We're going to put in the password we've just put in for creating our MySQL database. If you remember, that was different from our user account, it was database in my case. And then we get in, and I'm going to do grant all privileges on star to root at, and then it was that IP address, which I think was 1.24. 168.124, identified by, and then our password, which in this case is lamp. Oh, and then end the line with a semicolon. Seems to have gone through, and then we need to do flush privileges, semicolon. Excellent. Then we can just do exit. Okay, so at this point that's basically MySQL installed and configured. I'm just going to do sudo service MySQL restart, and then basically once that's restarted, it's effectively good to go. And just a quick one before I forget, we also need to enable mod rewrite, so don't worry about that if you don't know what that means. I'm just going to type in sudo a2 nmod and then rewrite, and then it's asking us to restart again, sudo service Apache 2 restart. Cool. Okay, so we've just finished up installing Apache 2 and Mysql. Now we want to move on to installing FTP. So, just going to do sudo apt-get install vs ftpd. This one's a quick one. And then sudo by etc vs ftptdconf. Okay, and then through here we want to scroll through and find out, yes, we want to enable, I'm just pressing X there to delete the hash, and we want to enable the write, so yes, let's keep scrolling, and we want to set that. What else do we need? Just keep going through. That might be it all, I think. Yep, pretty sure that's it. Okay, so it's just escape :WQ again. And then we want to reload that, or restart that, sorry, so it's sudo service vs ftpd restart. Very good. And then if we just do a sudo if config from this box, we can see that the IP address here is 192.168.1.16, and then from here, let's hope I've just installed that. It's going to go in via, oh, I haven't installed it. Okay, so ever the professional, ignore that bit. I have actually installed it now. I'm just going to do a file site manager, and I'm going to give it a name of Ubuntu Symfony2. Basically, all I'm doing here is setting up my FTP connection from my client. So normal lamp, no. And then connect. Okay, we've instantly connected, so that's good. It's going to test that I can upload, and I can. That's good. So with that, we're pretty much sorted there for FTP at the moment, because we don't have our web server directory set up. That's pretty much all we can do. We can just prove that we can go and browse around the file system, which is good. And then that's pretty much all that's installed at the moment in terms of Apache. So yeah, we're going to set up that in the next, well, not the next video, but coming very shortly. Next up, we're going to set up our SSH connection, and to do that we're going to use a tool called Putty, which you may have heard of. I'm just going to, I've already got it downloaded, but I'll show you where you get it from. You can click the right thing. It's this one, and then download, and then basically you just want that, so just right click that, save as, and save it to your wherever, desktop, whatever. But to go back to our server, we need to do sudo apt-get install open SSH server. Yes. Okay, so that's finished installing. Let's go back to our desktop, and we run Putty, and then we just type in the name IP address here. So it's 116, and we want to give it a name, so let's call it Symfony. Save that. Okay, accept that, and then we just log in as though we were actually on the command line. And there we go. It's actually a lot easier to use Putty because you can use like copy and paste and stuff. So yeah, make sure that you get this part set up. You'll be spending a lot of time here. Okay, so next up we're going to be creating our web directory structure and sorting our directory permissions out. So just cancel that. Okay, so we're back at the command line, and the first thing that we actually need to do is edit the permissions for our current user, our LAMP user, to add them to the www data group. It's just so that we can write to the relevant folders. So we're going to do sudo user mod -a -g, the capitalization matters there, and then www data, and then our user, which is LAMP. The password is LAMP. Excellent. Now we're going to go to change directory var www. At the moment there's only index.html in there, so I'm just going to create a directory called html. It's got that. Yeah, fair enough. And then we want to change the ownership of that, so we're going to do let's change the ownership of this folder. As you can see, we've already got some permissions issues, so we're just going to do sudo chown, which is change ownership, and then html www data www data, and that's basically the www data user and www data group, and then html. Okay, and as you can see there, what we actually did was added our user to the group. So our user LAMP got added to the group www data, and then we've created a directory called html. So html, which we can change into now, and then we've effectively changed the ownership of the HTML folder to the www data user and the www data group. So effectively, because we're in that group, we now have permission to write to it. Well, actually we don't at the moment. Let's just go up one and then do sudo change mode 775 HTML 775 775 HTML. There you go. And that's pretty much us. We can see HTML, the folder assigned to the user and the group www data, and it's got permission 775, which effectively means we can read and write to it. So excellent. You probably have to log in and out actually at this point to make those changes stick. So I'm just going to do exit and log back in. HTML. And that's it. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do in this section is install Composer, and then we're going to do the updates for the system overall. So Composer we get from the internet, just bear with us whilst it boots up, and then we're going to do Composer. When it types in, that'd be great. Stupid thing. We want to install this in a strange, well, not a strange way, but we just do a globally, and so we want to do effectively both these commands, and this is where it comes in handy, where you can copy and paste in. We've not got it. We can also just copy and paste that bit. Effectively, what that's telling us is we didn't have the curl program installed, so we couldn't do that, and then we're just going to do it now. Yes, very good. And then the next line, and effectively what this line's telling it is like move it somewhere central, so we don't need to. Next, right. So I'm pressing the up key there. Let's just. Going to lose you at this rate. Press the up key to get the previous command, Control A to go to the start of the line, sudo, stupid thing, anyway it should have moved now, and there we go. So we don't need to do anything with Composer at this point, but that is effectively now installed. Okay, all that's really left for setup at this point is just to install the updates for the system. So we're just going to do sudo apt-get update and apt-get upgrade, and effectively what that's doing is like the Windows updates that you use. Sudo apt-get upgrade. Yes. I think I should have put 2 sudos in there. Anyway, what that's basically doing is downloading and installing all the updates, as I say, a bit like Windows Update. These are Ubuntu's updates. Takes ages, as I think the version I used was a couple of point releases out of date anyway. So yeah, just wait for that to finish up, and then we're moving on to actually doing something with Symfony. Thanks for watching, I guess.